Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine.
What specifically, got you interested in writing?
What got me into writing, I don't think it was I chose it. I think it chose me, or I saw that was what I was meant to do.
Okay.
I was not programmed to be a writer. I was programmed to be a medical doctor.
Wow.
The way it is now and when we were growing up was that if you were doing well in school, if you were seen as a bright student, your teachers and your parents will believe that you will be a doctor. Or maybe, if you don't get into medicine, then maybe you become an engineer or a lawyer. But medicine was it. So, right from my primary school, I had in mind that I could become a doctor. In secondary school, I was also doing that. We were doing chemistry, physics, biology with geography and agricultural science and, everything that will support that with mathematics. But I saw that, calculation was not coming naturally to me. I needed to study and work extra hard on issues that have to do with the core sciences. Biology and agricultural science were easier for me, but the core sciences of physics, mathematics were not coming naturally to me. Yes, I will pass them, I will get the required credit, but other ones I didn't need to study because, whether I was sleeping or playing, I was naturally, I had that flair for the spoken word or the written word. So eventually I decided that I needed to move out of that. It was a rebellion. I had to rebel. Everybody saw me as a disappointment that how could I leave medicine to study girls course like English? But I said no. Writing was, but I think what happened was that when I finished my primary school, my elder brother gave me some books, some novels to read. Eze Goes to School, Chika and the River, and I think Animal Farm. And I began to read them, and I found them enthralling, especially Chika and the River, Eze Goes to School, then later One Week, One Trouble, Unoma at College, and all those books. So I began to read Shakespeare's Lamb Tales from Shakespeare. I saw that I enjoyed reading. Even when I was not doing literature in secondary school, I was always discussing literature with those people who are doing it. Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, and all that. Debating that with them. And so eventually I went into the university to study English, and literature was part of it. So I began to do that. When I finished my education, I wanted to be a copywriter in advertising. So I started with Merit Advertising under Lintas as a copywriter. And in copy, you also write, you create, you think of the best words to use to sell a product. But eventually, after a while, I felt that advertising was not giving me the leeway to express myself, because you have to write according to the demands of the product or the audience. I needed a wider spread to express myself more, to write the way I wanted. So I went into journalism, still doing advertising and public relations. And also I began to publish my books. The books that I had written when I was younger, I began to rewrite them, edit them. So if you ask me, I think nothing pushed me or made me to go into it. I think it's something that is in me, something that is innate. I only needed to force to fight against the societal prison that I was given, that I needed to be a doctor. And even when I rebelled in medicine, they say, okay, if you don't want to do medicine, why not go for law? say, no, I don't want to be a lawyer. I needed that I wanted to do something that had to do with the words, writing, speaking, and creating. So here I am.
Okay.
I don't have the money, but I
have
like what I do.
Yeah. So now, for one to master the art, of writing, what are the best ways? What are the easiest routes, to go about that?
Okay. Yes, I usually use my own experience and the experiences of other people that I have studied or I have come in contact with. I will tell you, as a village boy that grew up under parents that didn't finish primary school, that grew up in an environment where, yeah, people knew, we are studying, but intellectualism was not something that was very rife. What transformed my creative abilities, transformed my written skills and my spoken skills and the confidence and everything about me was the novels that I read. As I told you, after reading, many people now will begin. My children began to read novels when they were maybe 6 or 7, and all that. But I began to read mine when I was about 12. The only creative story that I had read before then was my book of Bible stories. Then I think I was in primary 5. Either my sister or somebody had it. So I was reading all those stories about how Jesus was born, or the Israelites, Moses and co. But the first novel I began to read was after I finished my primary school, which was late. So when I began to read that, after the basic ones, I went into reading things that were into series. I read virtually everything on the Pesetas series, on the African Writers series, on James Aliche's series, and I was reading like one novel every day. It wasn't for exam; it was just for fun. I would pick, I would take one novel from a friend of mine or from my brother or one library anywhere in school or anything. Before the next morning, I would have finished reading it. I will look for another one. Sometimes I will keep about 3 or 4 or 5 James Chase books, and I will read this. So I will read it like one every day. I was reading for the fun of it. I wasn't reading for anything. Just the stories were captivating. But after a long while, I noticed that there was a transformation in my written and spoken ability. All those stories that I have been writing, all the grammar, all the tenses, everything that I was reading, was going into me unconsciously. So when people ask me what should they do to write, to transform their writing ability, I don't just say read books. I say read novels. The reason I say read novels is, if you read biographies, yes, they are good. If you read other books that are non-fiction, yes, they are good, or newspaper or magazines, they are good. But the difference between them and the novel is that all the forms of writing are easily found in the novel. The first one is discussion. That is beyond the novel is based on narrative. The writer may write in the past tense or in the present tense. So it teaches you how to communicate in the past or how to communicate in the present. Then the people are discussing, they are, how are you? You say, oh, I'm fine. Why I called you yesterday, you were not there. You say, oh, sorry, I was sleeping. Or so you will see how people discuss. You will see, that then you will see the descriptive, there is a description. So there is argumentation, there is narration, there is so all forms of essay writing are found in the novel. But unlike the non-fiction, you hardly see the discussion. You hardly see that. You only see maybe a dialogue. You only see narration or description. You hardly see dialogue. Is not the main issue in non-fiction. So, and if you master that, if you have the art of dialogue, or then you have the narration, you have the description, you have the argumentation and all that, you have all the gamut of essay writing. And one thing that happens is that the reason why people are shy, people say, oh, I'm shy, I don't know how to speak in public. I was so bad that in 1982, when Jim Wobodo invited us as the governor, he was doing his birthday. He invited some pupils of Anambra State to come to Enugu Premier Hotel to celebrate his birthday with him. I was chosen. A bus took us from Nnewi local government, and we went. People from different local governments went, and I was jotting down everything that I saw along all the towns I saw from Nobi to Nokwa to all everything. And then we went to Nike Lake Resort. We went to Independent. I jotted everything down. Do you know what happened? So when we returned the next Monday, we were called out to come and tell the whole school during the morning assembly what we saw. I stood before the whole school, and I stood there and I froze. I bowed down, my foot was down, my toe was drawing some artistic work on the ground. I couldn't utter a single word. Somebody, a girl who was in primary 4, I was in primary 6, who went with us, was told to tell the school what she saw. And she began to talk about the rice she ate, the Fanta she drank. I was so angry. Why should you be telling people you drank Fanta or you when you could be talking about how you saw the Making Hill, how you saw this? But I couldn't say it. I was so angry. I wanted to say, okay, let me say something. By then the assembly was over. So that will tell you how bad I was when I was in primary school. Now, when I went to secondary school, I was also, the fear was there. I remember if a teacher told me to come to the staff room, I will freeze. I feel like crying. But eventually, when I began to read, I think what was the problem was that my expressive word, I was not grounded in English. I didn't have the right vocabulary. That's part of the thing I'm talking about novels. When you read novels, you will see how words are used in different ways. You will start to use, even when you don't know their meaning precisely, you start to use them. So when I had read so many books, I became so confident that I could stand before the school, the whole of Okongmora Grammar School, and I would address the whole school. The teacher, sometimes the people will not be able to read their Bible passage. They will call me, please, that they don't want to read before that I should take that. So I was doing that. Our mothers will come to see us in school. They will call me to come and address the mothers, either in English or in Igbo. We needed to go for a debate. We needed to go for a competition or so. They will call me naturally. So the fear disappeared because I had the word. Every time I knew what to say, if I could not, I could find about 4 or 5 words that I could use to describe every issue. And again, I had so many experiences all over the world from different, when you read novels, you know about Japan, you know about China and about Israel, about different places you have not visited. You read about them. You start just like a history, politics, everything mixed together. So that built my confidence, and I could speak, I could write, I could stand before people. Anytime you call me, sometimes you go for an event without preparation. Somebody will call you without telling you that please come and give the vote of thanks or come and give us address us without any preparation. Where do you draw from? You draw from all those stories you have read from different. Sometimes they are not there. It is when somebody calls you, you see that something will come up immediately. And when you want to create your stories too, you see that you are creating your own books from different stories you have read. Maybe you are not happy with the way they ended. You then build on what you have seen and turn them around with different storyline and create yours. So you build on the shoulders of, I think somebody said that if you see so far, it is because we are standing on the shoulders of a giant. That's why we can see far. So yeah, that is the foundation. That is what novel reading did, to me. That is the basic.